invite Ms. Woodcock to the podium to share our first award for service learning.
The Service Learning Award is given to an 8th grade student that has shown a dedication to service learning above and beyond the expectations of the classroom. This student is passionate about service to others and takes a leadership role in service learning class while at Woodlawn. This student is always willing to help anyone around them, whether it's helping others understand concepts or running errands for teachers. They make sure that everyone feels that they belong. This student is a kind and caring person who knows what they want to accomplish and puts forth the effort and determination to carry it through. Since the first trip this year, this student has shown a visible level of commitment to care for, have conversations with, and guide Accordius residents through crafts, games, or activities. The level of attention and comfort they provide has set an example for their classmates and has often led several of their peers to have more meaningful interactions during each visit. This student takes the lead in organizing and creating gifts for the residents of the Accordius Center. The gift items they make and gather are thoughtful and always support the theme of the program and visit. This student fully interacts with the residents of Accordius Center. They show a genuine level of empathy and compassion for the people they visit. They worked with their peers to design many engaging activities for the older adults. They were very kind and patient when helping the residents create their works of art. After each visit, this student was very thoughtful and honest when reflecting on what went well and what didn't, and they made adjustments to improve the experience for our older adult friends during our next monthly visit. When this student heard there were 4 residents that did not have any family members to visit them or bring them things, they took it upon themselves to come up with a way to make sure the residents felt loved and cared for. Each month, they created a special gift and card just for them. They made each gift look like it was packaged in a high-end boutique, using only reclaimed and recycled supplies they found in the art room. And even though the student never got to meet these 4 residents, as they were not able to come to our monthly programs or ever receive a thank you from them, the student continued to craft special gifts for them each time we visited the center. I have fond memories, this one's from me, I have fond memories of this student returning from Accordius in high spirits, reflecting on the positive conversations and interactions they had with the residents. This student is always ready to help with tasks or grabbing things around campus for me to bring to science class. This student is a person that is truly generous with their time and energy. Service extends well beyond the classroom, and our service partners with the recipient of this award. They're always thinking of the great ideas and ways to support their fellow students in the greater Woodlawn community. The lead team benefited from all their enthusiasm this year. The student came up with the idea to have a surprise pop-up hot cocoa stand for all of the students at the school to inject some excitement during the cold and dreary time of the year. The student also had the great idea, my gosh, making me emotional. Can't look at the student who you're bringing award to. The student also had the great idea to surprise their classmates with an impromptu stop at the ice cream shop while out on a field trip. This student, along with a few other classmates, volunteered once a week in the 2nd grade classroom during their own lunch and recess time. We have all enjoyed having this student as a part of our community, and I believe she is a deeply genuine person who truly helps others from the generosity of her spirit. The Service Learning Award recipient is a Moonberg Stresser.
Hey everybody, thank you all for joining us today to celebrate your students and children. The Ambassador Award is given to an 8th grade student who embodies Woodlawn values and represents Woodlawn's spirit. This person is kind, positive, generous, open-hearted, and empathetic. The student is always themselves and treats their peers, teachers, other students, and even all visitors to Woodlawn with the same respect, humility, good humor, and compassion. It's only fitting that this year's Ambassador Award winner is one of the very first students I met at Woodlawn. This student was immediately friendly and actually helped me forget I was in the middle of a job interview. I guess it worked out, so thank you to this student. Since that first meeting last July, I've witnessed this individual demonstrate the same welcoming spirit to their peers, teachers, parents, residents of the Accordia Center, and especially towards the visiting prospective students to Woodlawn. As amazing as Woodlawn is as a community, being new here can feel a little daunting. Once you're on the inside, we are a tight-knit group. Some of our students have been here since the very beginning, including this individual. Despite being a longtime trailblazer and knowing our campus better than most of the faculty, this student shows a humility and generosity that is well beyond their years. This student's charismatic and warm demeanor quickly turns a stranger into a new friend. And it's most likely to casually let them know how awesome he sees Woodlawn and believes Woodlawn to be. Ambassadors must be more than just a good first impression. They have to show the values of Woodlawn through their daily actions. This student is driven by a positive creativity that benefits our community at large through small daily acts of kindness. Thanks to the ambition of this individual, a once dilapidated potting table, which is just around the corner here, saves our planet from waste every lunch as our conscious consumer lunch cart. When the kindergarten class was in need of a vegetable stand, this student was willing to help them build one. During choice service time, the student is often found, behind the art room, refinishing and repairing wooden chairs that will be used again on our campus. As we are all very aware, middle school is a difficult, strange time for everybody. It can be a challenging environment to show kindness to others, but this student genuinely shows compassion for his peers, has a good-natured humor that allows him to show grace towards others when he has been wrong, and he'll be the first to apologize to his classmates when needed. The student works well with everyone in his class, is flexible to whatever role a situation may ask of him. And I've seen him, although being very competitive, masterfully support third graders in the heat of battle on field day. I've also seen him with some of our lower schoolers, despite being our detaining member of the Ellis Island simulation. He managed to detain them and question them without causing any tears. And when an assisting role is needed by his peers for group projects or assignment, he's just as willing to support them in their success. This individual shows what one of his teachers called a massive heart for Woodlawn. He truly represents all of the best attributes of our community. He's often generous with his time and his effort and approaches volunteer opportunities with joy. After a project share or a social event, this student is always there to clean up with a smile on his face. When Miss Berlin and I were loading the vans for Charleston at 7:30 in the morning, this student was there to help. Again, the same smile on his face. And to top it all off, 24 fresh farm eggs. Please join me in congratulating this year's Woodlawn Ambassador Award recipient, Asher Howard.
So this week for me is about not crying. my own children are graduating, and these kids are leaving, and I feel like all my kids are leaving at one time. So, I also wanted to take just a second before I do this too, because all the parents are here, to say thank you to the parents. All of my fellow teachers will be the first ones to tell you that we can't do anything without you. And I've had some of them for 3 years. You've had them for their whole lives. So my hats are off to you for producing the kids that you have. The Stenson Award is given to an 8th grader that is an outstanding example of a conscientious, hardworking student who is academically successful. This student takes pride in being a lifelong learner. Try not to. This year's Stenson Award winner is a student who I've had the honor and privilege of working with for 3 years. I was impressed with her intelligence and commitment to learning almost from the first moment that I met her. She has taken on every challenge we have thrown at her with diligence and perseverance, and has consistently produced outstanding work. Not only does she respond to input and help from teachers, she actively seeks it out. As one of her teachers commented, among her peers, she stands out as a self-advocate. Few activities in class do not include an earnest plea for help from the student. This is a rare trait in a middle school or even a high school student, and shows her dedication to her own education. She's never afraid to ask a question and always intently listens to the response, sometimes too intently. It's been a running comedy sketch in my class for 3 years where she asked me a question with her fingers like this on the keyboard, ready to type whatever I say. So I have to make her remove her hands from the keyboard and listen to the answer first. But then I'm always amazed later when I see in her work how she has processed my input and created her own unique understanding of it. Her work ethic and commitment are truly exceptional. In 3 years, I cannot recall a single instance when the student missed a deadline, forgot an assignment, or submitted anything that was short of excellent. Woodlawn asks a lot of students. They have to balance multiple projects, assignments, reading, assessments, community service, and often sports commitments. And they're expected to do so in an independent and personally responsible manner. This student has not only done that, but has consistently performed at the highest level in all of those areas. Finally, while this does not necessarily pertain to academics, perhaps the most impressive thing about this student, for me anyway, is who she is as a person. Despite the academic pressure she places on herself, she always has a smile and a positive attitude. I've never seen her have a bad day, which is a little scary, if I'm being honest. She serves as a role model to all of us, especially me, in this regard. I had the good fortune to also be her older sister's teacher last year and observed many of the same traits. I'm not sure what's in the water at their house, but there's a bottle and sell it, I would buy a gallon. I'm going to miss having you in my class more than you know, Sophia.
The Founders Award is given to an 8th grade student that embodies the mission of Woodlawn School. This student is independent, holistic, curious, lifelong learner. This student embodies the mission of Woodlawn School and has been an important part of our class community since kindergarten. Teachers from year to year always remark how this student is able to make the best of any given situation, whether that be a change in project, a malfunctioning computer, or what else. This student attacks each task with ease and a smile. When faced with a task she does not fully comprehend, the student seeks out help for understanding, not just a good grade. Teachers share that this student consistently shows an ability to find intrinsic value in voice and choice projects that bring her own personality into everything they do. Throughout the course of National History Day, this student showed a deep curiosity to explore a new topic that she knew very little about to bring greater willingness to create something new and interactive. This student is an active member of the visual media elective that produces the Blazer Bureau and website. Throughout the years, she has been willing to open up and learn new principles of journalism, video editing, and web design through her own independent research and coverage of national and local news and sports. This independent drive and desire to learn to produce quality content serves her well both in and out of the classroom. In science class, this student has been consistently independent and willing to take risks, even if it means being wrong. She is open to feedback, ideas of others, and is a team player. Beyond academics, this student is caring, honest, and always a friendly face to see around campus. She, along with other 7th, 8th grade students, volunteered once a week to help during recess in the 2nd grade. This is my part. In the 2 years that I've taught this student, she's never once complained about math, at least to my face, which is impressive. Even when these concepts were difficult or confusing, she always approached her work with a positive attitude and always putting her best foot forward and never lets anything get her in her way to understand the new concepts and knowledge she seeks. The recipient of this year's Founders Award, Skylar Rollins.
Pleasure to be able to give a scholarship to the school. Since my son and his wife founded the school back in 2002, we've been a part of it. I was sharing with somebody just a little while ago. They said, what was your part in the school? I said, I cut that grass. Somebody had to do it. And if I hadn't done it, Dwayne would have done it and spent more time over here. But it's been a pleasure for me to be involved with the school. It's great. I look around, I see students, I see parents, I see teachers, and I know that it takes a combination of all three to make a school function and to give the kind of quality education that parents expect for their kids. And it's just good. I congratulate each one of you, students, parents, teachers, for putting out a product that's known as good academics for the 8th grade. By the way, my last job was teaching 8th grade history in high school. Felt like high school. 8th grade history in middle school, in a school in Chattanooga. And I won't say that's why I had to quit teaching. I was getting too old to deal with 8th graders, I think. But this scholarship has been fun for us to do. My wife passed away in 2018, and people always kidded me about her and said, you know, there's one thing for sure, you overmarried. And I'm happy to tell you that Carolyn, I overmarried again. And no person ought to be blessed that much, probably. But I'm happy that she can share in this too. She even read some of the essays, so she's part of it. There's just a couple of things I'd like to say in regard to my wife, my first wife, who is named on the scholarship, and just to tell you a little bit about her life and what her hope was for Woodlawn School. That you all are the embodiment of that hope, all of you. she had three things that I categorized as things that she really cared about, really loved. First of all, she was a kind, generous Christian lady. She always took care of other people, and that was one of her loves. Next thing she loved her family, her kids, her grandkids. Even some of the students here became recipients of that also. And thirdly, maybe out of character for those first two, she liked to fly. And she worked, when I read those essays about lifelong learning, I thought she liked to fly and get ratings for different kinds of airplanes and go places and read maps and talk to controllers and all that kind of thing. And she had to learn to do all that. She didn't know how to work she didn't know how to the function of all the parts in the aircraft engine work. That's one thing she had to study to get her private pilots. And she'd ask me questions about them, and I'd say, that's way over my pay grade anyway. But I'm going to relate just a little story to you that shows her dedication to all three and gives you an idea of what kind of a lady she really was. When her mother had to go in a nursing home, she spent every day for however long I can remember coming home crying about having to put her mother in a nursing home. We didn't have the facilities or anything else to take care of her mother, and she was, I believe, 89 at the time. And so she needed a lot of care. And so she would come home crying, and I said to her one night, I said, you know, honey, you got to do something for me so you don't come home crying every night, because I don't know what to do. A crying woman is hard to take care of. So she said, I knew what her problem was, and I said, you got to do something for yourself. You got to get your mind off it a little bit so that you can take care of the rest of your family and take care of your mom too. If she knew how bad you felt about the whole thing, she'd feel even worse. So she said, I go by this little airport on the way to the nursing homes, going and coming, twice a day going by that airport. And she said, I think I'd like to learn to fly. Well, my idea of getting something for her to do was probably knitting or something along that line, but I said, what else could I say? Go for it. So she did, and she got her private pilot's license, and every other rating besides the jet that she learned how to fly. But the one example that I always remember about her was learning to fly and doing her first solo. I've never had to do that. I don't want to do that. And she was scared to death. If you've been riding along with a instructor in the right-hand seat telling you what to do and where that button is and, what to do with your flaps and all of that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden for him to tell you, okay, I'm getting out, this time you're going around by yourself and land. Now bear in mind, this lady was 40 years old with 3 kids and trying to do something. I found out later she really wanted to fly so she could help other people get places. But anyway, she went to take her solo and she took off. And what you do, you take off and you fly around the pattern one time and come in and land.
Well, it was a windy day in Collegedale, Tennessee that day. And as she came downwind and around to make her approach to final on that particular runway, it got a little squirrely in the sky. The wind was a little squirrely. And as she landed, her wingtip on the right-hand side touched down. And she was flying a high-wing plane, and the wind gets under those wings sometimes and kind of plays with them. You'll see planes coming in for a landing like that. And the wingtip hit the ground, catapulted the plane upside down. She landed upside down. Fortunately, she had the thoughtfulness to remember not to unbuckle her seatbelt. Because she was upside down with the seatbelt holding her in the seat. The only thing she would have done was fall down and hit the top of the plane. So they got her out, and she wasn't hurt. Plane didn't look so good, but she was fine, which was good. I think she probably went in the office in the little airport there where she was flying, and called me crying, saying, "I can't do it. I can't do it. I just crashed the airplane. I'm getting out of here." And so she ran out and jumped in her car before the reporters from the newspaper could come and take a picture of her in the plane. She didn't need that particularly. And so went home. And she said, "Be sure to all the people in the airport who work there, don't tell anybody about this. Don't tell anybody who crashed the plane or anything else." And so when I got home and appropriately consoled her for her problem, she said, "I want you to make me a promise. I want you to promise never to tell anybody about this." Well, I messed up. In actuality, and Dwayne and Karen remember this, I told her at her funeral. Now, knowing there's a possibility that people who have died can look over the precipice of heaven and see us, what we're doing down here. I don't know whether that's true. I don't see anything about that in the Bible, but it does say a great cloud of witnesses, so, you know. But anyway, she said, "Don't tell anybody. You got to promise me you're not going to tell anybody." I said, "What else can you say? I mean, you got to say, you're trying to help her, right? You got to say, okay. So don't tell her that if you see her before I do, don't tell her that." But here's the thing. This, I know I'm rambling on too far, but she didn't want to go back to flying. That image was stuck in her head. That feeling of being totally out of control with the plane flipped over upside down, sliding down through the grass. And she didn't want to go back. And I said, "You still want to fly?" "Yeah, but I don't want to go back." I said, "You'll have to go back. At least for yourself, you'll have to go back and try to do it again. That way the memory of your airplane career won't be a bad one." So after a couple of months of walking through, she got a new instructor, went back, started flying again, did her solo, did more of them, flew to Alaska, flew to Mexico, flew to Canada, West Coast, wherever somebody needed help or since she needed to take somebody, and just learned how to do it again. And nobody was ever more proud of someone else than I was of her. That's not an easy job. And some of us have maybe felt like we failed in a project or something like that. We don't even want to hear about it again. But she took the bull by the horns and really learned to fly and was an excellent pilot. Her main goal was to be better than all the men pilots because there weren't many women pilots back then. So I think I leave that as her legacy to everyone. Don't give up. You got a dream to do, whether a student, parent, teacher, you got a dream to do. There's hard problems along the way. They're worth it to solve. So she did that. She helped me through that. And I'm just proud she was my wife. And we're proud to be able to help the school in this way. And we're proud of Skylar to win the scholarship and her family. And Jaden's and wait a minute, I'll get it in a minute. I'm supposed to remember all this. I'm stalling now, so. Oh, yeah, I knew it started with a C. I wanted to call her something else. Claire. They've been good ambassadors for the scholarship. I'm sure Skylar. So, thank you for letting me share with you. And just remember, times are hard sometimes, but don't give up.